how can you lose when you're doing you?
It's a marathon. You're at 109 right now.
I got this clock so as to help me. I don't want to talk too much. Let's go over the countries I visited, all right? First of all, I'm from the United States of America, and when I was 27 years old, I moved to South Korea to work because I couldn't get a job. I couldn't support myself. I was in a bad shape. I had a high credit card debt levels. It was all bad. If you live in Los Angeles, you already know. I don't even have to explain it. I left America. I went to South Korea. I lived in South Korea for 9 years. For the, let's see, 07, 08, 09, 3 years. 3 years, the first 3 years of living in Korea, I only went from Korea back to America. That was the extent of my travel for the first 3 years. 2009, I went to Japan for the first time. 9, 10, 11, and 12. All right. 5 years. The first 5 years that I lived in South Korea, I only traveled to Japan, Korea, and America. The 2012, I didn't move. I traveled to Taiwan for the first time. Maybe like less than a week's trip, right? 5 days at most. Yeah. Taiwan. That was 2012. 2013, 14, 2013 and 14. I just went to Japan. From Korea, I went to Japan, back and forth. I think I'm doing this wrong. I shouldn't count 2007 because I'm reaching 9 years. I don't know. Okay. Then 2015. In 2015, my life changed. In 2015, I got a job in Peru, thanks to Melissa Watkins. I got a job in Peru. It was a 2-week job, and I flew to Peru. They paid for me to fly from Peru back to Korea because I still had a job in Korea. But I got to go to Peru. But in that year, 2015, so I had traveled back to America, my home. I traveled to South Korea where I lived. I continued to live in Korea. And then I traveled to Peru. In order to get to Peru, I had a layover in Panama, and I had a layover in Canada. I had never been to Panama. I had never been to Canada before. I mean, I explained to you, I had only been, up until 2015, I had only been to Taiwan, Japan, Korea, and America. But 2015 was crazy because I was now, it was Taiwan, it was Korea, it was Japan, it was Peru, it was Panama, it was Canada. Also, when I was in Los Angeles, I got a visa for China in 2015, right? And it became, in 2015, it also became China. I did not need a visa for the Philippines, so I went to the Philippines as well. And I think that's it. So in 2015, I went to 7 countries: the United States, Korea, Japan, Peru, Panama, Canada, the Philippines, and China. Okay, so it looks like 8, but I would take away I would take away the United States because I live there, right? I went to 7 countries in total. What is that? 5 new countries? China, the Philippines, Peru, Panama, and Canada. 5 new countries, completely new. 2015 was an amazing year for me. 2016, 15. In 2016, I left Korea and I moved to Saudi Arabia to work. And in 2016, I went to I went from America. I went from Korea. I probably stopped in Japan. 2016, I remember I was in Japan. I was there with my sister. Japan, Korea, America, and then the United Arab Emirates, and then Saudi Arabia. And then I stayed there and went to Turkey. The first place I went to after moving to Saudi Arabia was Turkey. So in 2016, I went to 6 countries. 2017, I went to 17 countries. Check this out. 17 countries. 2017. I was in Saudi Arabia. In 2017, I flew to the countries near Saudi Arabia. I flew to Qatar. I went to Bahrain, Oman, United Arab Emirates. Those are 5 countries near Saudi Arabia. In 2017, I went to Africa, and I went to Ethiopia and Egypt. All right. I went to 2017. I went to Japan, the Philippines. When I flew to America from in all of this traveling, I flew to America and I stopped in Germany. That's 10 countries there. Had a layover in Germany. I believe I had a layover in England. We're working on the last 7. I was in America. From America, I did a South American, Central American tour. From America, I went to Mexico, Cuba, stopped in Panama, on my way to Peru. 5 countries right there. And somewhere in there, I might have been the 17th countries had to have been maybe the 16th and 17th countries. Those had to have been maybe Kuwait. I might have had a layover in Kuwait, or Amsterdam, the Netherlands. I probably had a layover there. So in 2017, no. In 2017, I went to Sri Lanka. So I went to Sri Lanka, and then I might have had a layover in the Netherlands or Kuwait. So that would have rounded it out. So all of those countries, those were countries I traveled to and I stayed in those countries, or I had a layover in those countries. Layovers don't really count unless you get out of the airport. So when I went to England, I got out of the airport. I had a 6-hour layover. I left the airport and I toured the city in England. It cost me a pretty penny. Kuwait, I stayed on the airplane, so that doesn't really count. 17 countries in 2017. In 2018, I don't know. In 2017, I had money and I was centrally located. So the countries that I traveled to, I could get there quite cheaply. So from Saudi Arabia, I was able to get to Africa, Asia, and Europe cheaply. That's why I traveled so much. Plus, I wanted to learn about the world and see some new things, which I did. All right, that's a little bit about my travel history.
How can you lose when you're doing you?
It's a marathon. You're at 109 right now.
October 9th. That's where it starts.
You see, it's the same old thing.